Hey guys, Tim back here from TNT RC Nuts, Tips, Tricks, How-Tos, and Time Savers. Got a little repair work here to do. As you can see, this is a stabilizer from the Monokote Great Plains Ultra Stick 40. We retrofitted this plane about a year ago, stripped off that crud covering they had on there and put some new covering on it. Where we fly at it, we have a rocky runway, so as you can see, trying to take off stuff, we got some holes and stuff. And I thought this would be a great video since we just recently re-equipped this airplane to show you a little bit of how to do some repair work. Some do's and don'ts, maybe, whatever you may want to know about how to make your covering look good if you have to do a patch or a repair area on your covering. This is the underside of the left stabilizer here. It really took the brunt of the punishment. As you can see, it's got several big tears in it. When you get an area like that, you might as well just go ahead and figure on replacing the whole area of covering, because it's just too much patchwork. I'll move the plane and camera a little bit here. You can see on the other side of the right stabilizer, you got a little hole here and a little hole here, and this appears to be a small tear. We'll find that out in a minute. I don't want to poke around too much on it, rip it any bigger than it has to be. But I'm going to start off and show you the right way that I do it, which I consider is probably one of the best ways. First thing you want to do is you want to clean your airplane with the repair. This is just regular rubbing alcohol here. I clean it really good with alcohol because you need to get the fuel oils off of that covering as much as possible to start with. So as you can see, I'm just give it a clean down. Get that rubbing alcohol on there and get it scrubbed off. I mean, don't be afraid to really rub on it. Just get it clean, especially around the areas you have to do a patch or repair. Alright. Second thing you're going to need to do, of course, some covering tools, which, will have to be, of course, your covering, some knife, scissors, ink pen for marking your covering, how big you need it to be, a couple rulers or something maybe, whatever you need to do. But the biggest thing is just preparation. As you can see here, I've already got a strip of the blue already cut out, and what I'll do is I'll just take my scissors, since I already know what I need. I'm just going to go ahead and lay it out. I've got a small hole here. What I want to do is just lay it out. I'm going to oversize it about 1/4 inch altogether, about 1/8 inch or so each side. You may want to go bigger. You may want to go smaller, depending on what you want. There's your first piece. Kind of lay them out on your table in the way you're going to put them on there so you don't forget what's what. This hole here, we're going to cut it right about there. Now you want to try to get nice good square cuts also. And I think just to save face in this small, what appears to be a tear here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut a strip and put it on the underside. Now if you're really fussy and you have the money and want to completely recover the bottom side of the stabilizer, then go ahead. But remember, this is tips, tricks, how-tos, and time savers. This video series also ties into saving money for people that don't have a high budget. And if I can get my little fine furry red-headed stepdog out of the way here. Come here, you. Get in the way. Yeah, it's my little buddy right there. I gotta get him out from under my feet. Hey, come on. Alright. Now the key thing is, you just don't want to cut your covering and iron it back on. You want to have your iron set to a high heat setting. On my other videos, you may have noticed that I don't use a normal hot sock. I just go buy cotton material at the fabric store and get some cotton string. And I just make my own socks, and I double up the fabric, cut the shape out, slit it. I don't do anything special to the slots. You can see it looks very handmade. Been using those for years and years and years. I've had the same yard of material, I would bet, I don't know, 8 or 10 years, probably.
Yeah.
and have covered hundreds and hundreds of planes. So you know, there's a money saver right there, and it works just as good as any other hot sock. And the nice part about it is, once the sock wears out, you can pull the string out and reuse it. They do turn brown, you know, after a while. It does get old like any other sock, but it does the same job. It doesn't scratch your covering. You just want a nice soft cotton material, like a set of bed sheet type material, and that's what I use. But first step you're going to do is take your hot iron, and you're going to go ahead and re-iron over the whole area. Make sure all your covering's tight still. You know, that or heat gun, whatever you wish to do. I don't know if you can see it on video, but we're fairly loose. Now you notice on this one here, I went over the cut and ironed it back down. That's all fine and dandy. That's over top of wood, but we're still going to apply a patch to it. This also helps takes out the little dings and dents that didn't get poked through. But what happens is where we fly at, rocks fly up from the landing gear, bounce off the runway, and we end up with holes in the stabilizer. So that's why the repair work has to be done. But once you get all that out and you're satisfied, I always go over the big areas really good, because I want to make sure that covering kind of pulls back up into place. But there we go. Now that part's done. Putting a patch is as simple as opening up a bottled drink. You just open and go. Well, that's what we're going to do. But the one thing I do to my cover patch is I crop the corners off at a 45-degree angle. That will help blend it out, make it far less noticeable on the airplane. Plus it tends not to lift if you don't get a good bond in your ironing. But a good bond in your ironing is one of the key factors you have to have. Let me reach over here and get me a knife. And you want to go ahead and just peel the backing. If you happen to drop this piece, it's like, oh my gosh, now I don't know which is front and back. If you look on a regular piece of covering, let me go ahead and peel the rest of this and show you. You know, you can see where the backing is. It's all wrinkled up. You know you got to peel that off. But if you're having a hard time determining what the backing is, when you peel the covering off and hold it up to a light, the glue side will be a lot duller. Sometimes not a lot, but it's duller. And you'll notice like little fisheye bubbles and everything. And then if you look at the other side, it's perfectly smooth and nice and glossy. Well, then you know that's the top side. But what I do is I just lay it over there, line it up to where I want it, and just like that, on a small repair, that is patched. That is all done right there. Barely even see it. Now the larger areas is a little different. You still want to cut your corners. Let me get over and cut these. Okay, let me get that corner cut. That corner's cut, and then the fourth corner. On a big piece, you don't need to crop corners very much. Let me see if I can get that in the picture, maybe lay it here on the back where you can see how much. You can see the size of my finger and how big the patch is and how much I've cropped the corners off. That's all you need. And then you peel that, obviously. But like I said, I use a high heat in my iron. Now you want to be just a little bit more careful. You don't want to go haphazardly. I always start off to the side, line up my top and bottom where I want, and then just visualize it and slide it over. Once I'm happy with the placement, I'll just take my iron and just touch like that, and then I'll slowly go back and forth to start it, and then I'll just work my iron faster and faster and faster until I get it kind of laid down. Then once I get it laid down, I just iron it out, pulling out towards the edge. That'll help stretch that patch out. And then once you're satisfied with the placement of your patch and it's laid down, you can go ahead and just stretch it. It'll stretch out just fine, just like the other covering. And there you go. I mean, you can see it, but it's not noticeable like the other, you know, high noticeable. And then of course you got your last little patch here. You go ahead and cut the corners on that. Now remember, you cut these patches out in a certain way to lay out. Now this one being close to the edge of the stabilizer, you just want to be careful not to overlay unless you have to. You don't want to have to wrap the back edge of that too much if you don't want to. Just save you time, a little bit of effort. But there I am, that's where I want it. Now I got this edge of the patch laying right up against the back edge. And I'm just going to lay that down just like I did the bigger one. And once I'm satisfied, now I'm not pressing hard on my iron, I'm just letting the weight of the iron sit on the model. That's one of the keys for covering. And there you go, there's all the patches done on the right side. Excuse me guys. I don't know what it is. When it comes into summertime, I get hoarse. But now we have the other side of the stabilizer to do. Now you got several choices you want to make. You want to try to patch these? Well, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different holes. Well, it's a solid piece of wood inside of here. My decision is I'm going to re-iron this piece just like it is, and then I'm going to trim it off and just replace the piece on the bottom. But we have one problem with that. We have, of course, the push rod in the way. So what I'm going to do, pull the keeper here. But a little bit more background on this airplane while I'm doing that. A friend of mine, I got the airplane off of him. It's a Great Plains Ultra Stick 40. And of course, like a lot of ARF kits, you have loose firewalls and stuff eventually. Her and I redid the firewall, put a new one in, stripped all the covering. Everything's original parts except for the covering, but we just stripped it all down and recovered the airplane because, quite frankly, I thought the other way it looked ugly. But it flies great. I mean, it's a good little flying airplane. We have a 46 LA on it, I think, is what it is. You'll find a lot of my videos and stuff. You'll see pretty much nothing else but OS and Super Tiger is the only thing I fly. I never use anything other than a Futaba radio. But as you can see right here, I'm ironing that on, paying close attention that I make sure it's down on the trailing around the whole perimeter. I want that piece ironed completely on. Just like that. I want iron down. I want it attached. Now what I want to do is find this edge right here. I want to put my iron into it, locate where that edge is, where I see it now. What you do is kind of push down, you let it indicate where your line is. I believe you can see that line right there that I made with the iron. But that shows you where that solid piece of stabilizer is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my straight edge. The short ones work nice for this, and sometimes I just don't have a nice straight edge that'll work because the push rod now is in the way of that. But if I can just get that forward just a hair more over top of that pull wire, there we go. What I want to do is I want to come in off that edge about 1/4 inch. I don't want to cut all the way up on the stabilizer. I want to cut to the end of that leading edge that's on your stabilizer. And then what I want to do is score it. And then I want to do the same back here. I want to locate the trailing edge here. I want to locate the inside of that 3/8. And I want to take and score that. Now, when you get right to here, if it pokes through, who cares? You're taking it off. But now I'm at the point where I just take my knife and I'm going to cut all this covering off. So pretty much all this covering right here is going to be taken off. I mean, it's just too shredded up for good patchwork. So I needed to make me a knife trade here and get my X-Acto. If you don't have an X-Acto, you just have to find a razor blade, anything. But you want to take that whole outer edge, especially on a stick build, and just cut, up, leave your material on that edge, which in this case is a 3/8 by 1/4, but just leave it on that 3/8 by 1/4. But as you can see, I'm just slicing right behind that edge. We're going to take that whole piece of covering completely off. See that? We're just removing that thing. Now don't go tearing it off. Just make sure you got it cut where you want it and then take it off.
With an Erie Rate Lock auto policy, your rate won't take a hit, no matter what. It stays put until you change a car, driver, or address.
One little trouble spot here, but that's okay. We can overshoot it.
That's what it means to have seriously good insurance for your auto, home, or business. Erie Insurance.
Little piece here.
Of regrets. Get to know Erie. See for yourself why more than 90% of Erie customers stay with us year after year.
Now don't pull real quick, or especially when you get around your corners. You want to make sure your corners cut. You don't want to rip that covering anywhere else than you have to. First knife just wasn't sharp. Now you don't want to press into it real hard. You want to just go through that covering. Just enough to take that covering off. If you press through too hard, then of course you're going to cut through the integrity of that wood, and you don't want that to happen, which means you're taking strength away. Well, there you go. Now, let's get the dirt out of there that managed to get in there. Now, here comes one of my tips, tricks, and how-tos. I don't know if you can see it, but probably, maybe not, but every one of these stringers in this stick build, every one of these, has a hole poked through it. See that? There's a hole poked through there. Well, this has been done once before, but wood swells, whatever. I'm going to take a piece of wire, pin, whatever, poke them back through these holes. Now, some people will ask, I know, why are the holes in there? Well, anytime you put covering over open framework like this, you got a good seal on your edges, you try to shrink it down. The heat inside will blow it up like a balloon, and then it shrinks back down. Sometimes it just will not come out wrinkle free. But what you do is you poke a hole in this one, that one, that one, that one, and you do the same on the wing tip or your stabilizer tip, whatever. Poke a hole in there. As you can see, my wire is inside of there, but all these have a hole. Well, when that heat expands, where's that heat going to go? It has nowhere to go, but now it can escape out and give you a tight covering. And now the way I measure the covering out is I make sure I have enough to come back here and overhang here, and only enough to come to here and just up to the very front of the leading edge. We want to make sure we get enough wrapped over to where we got a good seal. And I already have that one pre-cut. We're going to go ahead and, oh my gosh, 32 years of peel Monokote, and I can't get this one peeled. Kind of have to excuse me, folks. I worked last night and not working tonight, so minimal rest. Didn't sleep that good today. But now, if you can't remember where you put your openings or your covering at, you know, you can always, that's why I always say keep an ink pen or anything handy. Give yourself a seam behind everything by doing that. And just mark it. It's okay if it doesn't mark with the pen. As long as you got a couple little scratch marks, whatever, to see where your covering is going to come to. So you want to line, that's going to tell you where your seam is there. And then you want to line the trailing edge right up perfectly. Just barely not coming back to the edge. I know you can't see it on camera, but right here in the back edge I got about a 1/64 of an inch that's not covered. So what I'm going to do is put a tack on it and put a tack there. Then I'm going to come down to this end. I'm going to make sure this trailing edge is lined up first. So now I'm going to tack it. Now you can see a wrinkle forming here. We're going to lift, and now we can just cover it like you would do in any normal stabilizer. Just let you watch some of my techniques here. Now you're going to watch me do a lot of picking and pulling because I'm really fussy about how covering goes down to start with. And then you're going to roll down over your edge just a little bit. It's really hard to explain how to get this covering to go down right. It's a natural thing to me after all these years. But you just work with it and play with it. Don't try doing it in big areas if you haven't done a lot of covering. Just do it in small little areas, small little pieces until you get the result you want. See, this is still up. I'm getting a little wrinkling right there, so I'm going to kind of pull in that direction. Iron it out. Now remember, it's Monokote. It will shrink to a point. Now right here on this edge, I'm going to pull over. I'm going to come back here and pull it out this way. I'm taking my iron, kind of rocking into it. Starting back here, adding a little heat, rocking in. And then I'll seal that edge. Now that I'm satisfied with where everything goes, I'm going to go around my whole edge. Let's get that nice and slow around the corners there. This one's going to be a little difficult since it's already wrinkled anyway. It's hard to put smooth covering over wrinkle covering. And then we're going to iron this out. Make sure you see no loose pieces, no gaps, or anything on that. Now comes my other favorite tool in the world. I love these things for covering, these little snap-off blade knives. And one of my other most ultimate favorite tools is a small pair of scissors. Once you're satisfied with where everything goes, I do what's called back folding, which is like that. Now I'm not going to mess with the leading edge. What I'll do is I'll back fold, give me a nice crisp edge by pushing up underneath, and then I'll take my scissors and I'll follow right around that, right on that fold. And as you can see, it leaves you a nice edge. Now we're ready to just seal it down and stretch it out. Just like that. We're going to come over here and we're going to pull it in. We're going to move and roll at the same time. You just want to start on one edge. You just want to keep your iron on the edge and then work around slowly. I mean, I know how fast I can move with this stuff, what temperatures. I've said it before in my videos. I've done tens of thousands of planes for people, myself. And I could not even begin to fathom the amount of covering I've used in rolls. It's probably enough to fill a small house with empty rolls. That'd be my best guess. I don't know. Then in the 20 years that her and I've been together, this was our business for a while, was recovering. Covering airplanes and recovering, building. But had to get a drink here real quick. My throat's real dry. I'm going to go back and double check. But yeah, over the years, I mean, who knows the amount I've used? I mean, if you could guess it for me, you're good. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to go like any other time you cover an airplane. We're just going to slowly go over. We're going to stretch this puppy out. You're going to look for anything that might be wrong with it and get it ironed down, get it straightened out, and just like that. Now, a lot of people have trouble getting these corners to stretch out. I don't. But there you go. That's all repaired. Then you put your control linkage back on here. Pay attention which way you take it off. You want to put it back on the same way. Now my little clip, which these things can be a bear, and if I can have her get me a set of Hemos, I'll put that on here in a minute. Now another thing you do while your iron's still hot, give me the small straight Hemos out of there. If you see like your covering's loose or anything, well, your iron's already hot. Go ahead and fix up some of your cosmetics. Get it all stretched back out. Little TLC on these airplanes, it just keeps them a lot longer. You know, it makes them look a lot nicer. You get out to the field and people are like, wow, that is very nice. You know, when did you get that? When did you just build this or whatever? And when you keep your airplane nice, I like using these Hemos for putting on the keepers. Because when you got bigger hands and bigger fingers, you know, it's just kind of hard to get into some things. For some reason, it's not wanting to go back on there. But we got her. Solid keepers, can't beat them, ladies and gentlemen. Best things there are in the world. They got a clip on the backside. You never have to worry about them coming off. But you know, then you can, like, back to what I was saying though about your cosmetics. You know, you get that plane back out the field and somebody out there is new and they're wanting to get learning, and they're, or just out there saying, you know, they're just visiting or watching it fly, whatever. They sit there and say, oh, how long have you had this plane? And you can sit there and tell them, you know, the actual age of this airplane, I don't know. I really don't. It's 2 or 3 years old at least. I mean, I've had it over a year, recovered it. When I bought it off a friend of mine, Cheyenne, he had a Futaba servos in it, which I'm happy with, but he wanted to sell it to me with a, dare I say it, a Spectrum receiver. I'm not, it's no following secret with my friends or anything. Somebody can go out and buy me a brand new Spectrum 12, whatever they got out there, I'll throw it in the trash. I've had a real bad run in with Spectrum. It cost me a lot of money for the radio, and the repair cost of what it cost me justified me never straying away from Futaba again. So, Spectrum doesn't like what I say about it tough, because I'm not the only one out there in the United States that doesn't like them. I've been with Futaba since 1983. Never once experienced a problem with any of their radios brand new. I buy used ones, have problems, of course, you know, that's going to happen. Buyer beware thing. But when it comes to Spectrum, somebody can hand me a brand new 8, whatever they got. I'll tell them, first of all, they wasted their money on that for me. And they can either just give it to somebody else, or if they insist I have it. Well, that last little cut you seen in the movie there ran out of memory on my stick, but what I'm going to do is move the camera now and kind of readjust. I had the camera settings in a way I didn't want. But anyway, we're talking about the cosmetics while your iron's already hot. You can see the wrinkling and stuff in the covering, so you know, just why run your iron again if you don't have to? But just go ahead and hit your old airplane, re-smooth down some areas, whatever you got to do. Keep it looking nice. You just don't. I'm picky with my airplanes. You know, I just want to keep them looking good. People come out to see them fly, and you know, they see just a regular airplane. You know, in most people's eyes, but some of them will notice that if it's all wrinkled and stuff, they'll say, you know, what a piece of junk. But this also helps keep your covering mounted. You know, that's all nice and smooth now. But while I got the iron hot, like I said, I'm just going to go over the whole thing and re-stretch. Pull out little dings and dents, you know, just make sure my corners are good, everything. You know, and then when people do view the airplane, they're going to think, oh, wow, what a nice airplane. How long have you had that? And if you tell them 3-4 years, and it still looks brand new, they're going to think one of two things. They're going to think, well, you know, the guy's lying to me, or, I know I got some other spots here. Yeah, right here in the stabilizer. And an elevator here. But you can honestly sit there and tell them, no, this plane's several years old, and just take care of it, you know, which is what you got to do when you're in this hobby. My philosophy on that is, if you take care of your airplane, it will take care of you. Which is the truth in just about any case of these things. Come on, stretch out there. Here we go. But you know, it's just things like that. You just want I'm just fussy with my airplanes. It's not that I want to look good. It's just that I believe the better you keep your airplane, the longer it'll last. It's just like buying a car. You take care of a new car, it's going to last a lot longer. You know, even though a lot of people say one car is better than the other. Well, care still is a factor in just about anything you buy. If you take care of it, it'll last. But you know, there's some covering tricks and stuff for you. Let me see if I can get her back in the picture. I'm going to flip her upside down for you, hold her up, and see if I can get the camera. But as you can see, you know, my patching is right there, right here, right here. I can barely even feel it. I mean, I know it's there, but I can barely feel it. With the cut corners on it, you can barely see it. And then, now here we go, Mr. Fussy again. Notice another spot I just have to iron out. And it's just a dent in the covering. Now, if that covering gets dented down into the wood and it's still stuck to the wood, especially with Monokote, don't be afraid to hold a little heat there and just move slow with it. It'll pull out. And there we go, it's out of there. Well, some has actually gotten into that covering a little bit and marked it up, so I'll have to clean that. But that's just basically the gist of how to patch up your holes. You know, other than having to go all out. The quick temporary fix of the field, you know, you want to carry some package tape, scotch tape. You know, you can fix small areas with that. Package tape, a little rip or something. But you don't want to repair nothing major with it and try to fly your plane. I don't recommend that because the weight will actually change the way the plane flies a little bit. But there you go. I'll have this part of the video stitched to the other one, but questions or comments, just please leave anything. If you guys do think of anything that you want to see a video on that I could do for you, please let me know. Let me aim it back towards my ugly here. Let me see if I can get this thing up a little bit. Oh, there we go. Yep, just as ugly as always. But like I said, just shoot me some tips, tricks, what that you want to see, things that you could suggest improving on. But I want it to be thought of in a way of low budget, you know, people that don't make a lot of money, that does want to be in a hobby and they only have just so much in their budget to spare with it. But just things like that. But one of the things you'll see if you go to Rumble Cloud RC Index, you will find my videos under there under Tim and Tina's Planker Pavilion. Join up with us. It's a lot of fun. A lot of great guys on there. We don't discriminate. We just enjoy life and the hobby that we do. We don't hear any bad mouth, and there's no little cliques or groups. It's not a very big forum. There's just so many members. I don't know exactly how many right offhand, but it was meant to be a sister forum to my RC Guides RC Index, and which is another great one to be on too. Also, I belong to both of them. But come and join us on there on Rumble Cloud RC, and yeah, that's where you'll find all my links for the YouTube videos on tips, tricks, how-tos, and time savers. Plus, also on my other YouTubes, I am doing a Cessna 310 modification that you might be interested in watching, and the restoration of a Goldberg models. Is it Goldberg or Great Plains? I can't remember which one it was. I looked up. It's the Great Plains Extra 300S, the 40 size, but there's a thread on there from beginning to end on how that airplane's looking, plus the T-Rexes. You know, I got stuff on there for helicopters and stuff too. But that's, you know, that's what we're all about. We're all just about enjoying each other and friendship and enjoying this hobby, and that's one of the premises behind this video series, because I have some stuff that I could share over my 32 years of being in the hobby. So come join us, and we hope to see you there. Have a good one, guys.